Hiya, happy Saturday. Hope you're all having a good time. I just wanted to come on here because I've been chatting to my son. He's in his 20s, late 20s now. And we were talking about the difference in a lot of things about women and men. And one of the things that came up was how we overthink a lot of situations, and how my son said, well, you know, why'd you do that? Why'd you have these overthinkings? And I said, well, I don't know. I said, I think maybe we grow up that way, because I've met a lot of people who seem to have overthinkings in the women society. I said, maybe it's just one of those things that we have too much going on, and we're always told, we haven't done that right. And we think we're going to fail before we've even started something. It's a tricky one, because I said to my son, I said, it's funny for you, because that's one of the things I want to protect my children from, so that they could talk openly if they ever get a problem and share it with somebody that they know they can trust. So that, especially if they had partners when they get older, they talk more and say things straight away. Say, well, I'm not sure I agree with what you just said there, or I didn't like how you worded that, or whatever the scenario is. So that there's always this build-up and repertoire where you can say things to especially to your partners, because it's important. You know, a big breakdown area is no conversation, no debating, and on it sort of goes. And he was saying to me, he said, well, he said, you did a good job, because I like to talk about things. If I have upset my other half, I want to say, you know, I don't need her telling me, did you mean this by what you just said? I've just been off here and I don't think you spoke to me properly. And, you know, he said, moments later is too late. You need to say it at the time when I'm actually fresh in my mind what I've said. He said, and I would never mean to hurt anyone. I'm not a nasty person. And I said, no. I said, you know, it's funny. I said, in my bringing you up as a single parent, things do get tough. Like in my situation, it got tough. I said, but if I got to a point when I knew I kept hitting that brick wall again and again and again, I'd say to my sons, who were quite young then, what's going on? Well, I don't understand why I can't seem to get anywhere. And the reason I asked them is I knew they knew me, and they weren't involved in my problems. They didn't have to deal with finding cash to pay the mortgage, to pay the bills, to sort out the school uniform, to get them to school, or look at the homework and get that done. They didn't have to think of any of these things. So I needed help, and they knew me, and they could see me banging my head against the brick wall and see me not doing well. But some of their answers to my questions would be shocking in some ways and hurtful. But what I found out, I never said no. I always listened, because a lot of what they said, however shocking or hurtful, I knew it was to be true. And I could have denied all of that and gone, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about, load of rubbish, and walked off. But I wouldn't have got myself out of all these mind-blowingly numb stuff that was going around and round my head, and I was chewing it over. And did I do this right? Why hasn't that person come back with that? What's going on? But my sons would tell it to me, how they see it. And then they'd ask me to explain a bit more about the situation I was talking about. And then they'd come back. Now move on 10 years, I suppose. I still have a few little problems when things go round in my mind again and again and again. Why did that person say that? Am I being left out? Should I be more in the know? Should I have actually put myself out there and said a few more things? Maybe I don't ask enough questions. I mean, the list of things I could say is just mind-blowingly nonsense. But my youngest son lives with me now. He's in his younger 20s. And he says, why'd you go into all that? I said, well, what do you mean, why do I go into all that? It's part of living. He said, no, it's not. When people speak to you, Mum, they're talking about themselves in a situation. If they turn around to you and say, oh, you do it, don't take it personally, because you may not do it, but they need to say that so that you feel that you do what they're saying you do. You're not coming, excuse me, you're not coming, he said, from where they're coming from. It's their conversation, really. They're saying it so they can hear their conversation said, and they're waiting to hear what you have to say, if anything. But don't take it to you as it's your conversation. You didn't start it. It's their conversation. If they want to debate something with you, they'll say, oh, I need to have a talk to you about this because I feel this is something that maybe you've said to me and I want clarity on it or closure on it. Different. You can listen and then you debate it with that person. But if they just come out and say something, if you're not happy, say, I don't understand what you're telling me this for. Is it anything to do with me? Question it. Get on from there. But don't walk away taking it on as if it's yours. He said you're burdening yourself with something that's absolutely so trivial. And I think, wow. And as my son was saying, he said, Mum, you taught us to do this. And we don't have any problems, especially when you ask us anything, because we know we can say it. And sometimes maybe we have to be brutal because you're not getting it. You're repeating something. You might be coming in from a different angle, but it's a repetition. And sometimes you have to be brutal to get the person to wake up, see something, and actually action it to move on. And then when they've done that, I can come up to you and say, well done, Mum, that was brilliant. I'm so sorry. I was a bit heavy-handed with that. I'm so sorry. I was a bit brutal when I said that to you. But I needed you to move into something different. And then when I think about it, in that moment they're talking to me, I can say, which I have done in the past, thank God you did say it, because I have moved somewhere different now and I have a much clearer vision of where I'm going, how I'm going to act and what I'm going to implement. Now, I never took a life coaching course for this. It's all learned. I've lived it. And my children have never taken life coaching courses either. All I've done is ask the obvious questions to people who know me. I could ask friends, but they don't actually know me that well because they don't live with me. They have never been in the scenarios I'm asking my children about because they are in the scenarios, and it hasn't been an easy life. And they, when they were younger, didn't have this ultimate confidence, but they've grown into it because I helped them get there by trusting them and saying, sharing a conversation and trying to work out the how, why, where and when and what brought me to this point. And then saying to someone who comes up and puts their arms around them and says, well, I've got the time. Explain to me what's happening. And just by listening to them explaining it, and then maybe just a couple of things, not to correct them or anything, but just to go, okay, oh, do you know, I never understood that one about that, but you've answered a question that I might have had for myself. Thank you very much. That is empowering to somebody. But you don't need to do a course for any of this. There are courses out there for life coaching. It's, you know, you do need life coaches. But some things you can do yourself, but you have to open up and be honest. You have to be honest when you receive something. And I've heard people go, oh, no, that's not me. No. And they walk off and I think, I could have written a play on that. Because that is you. And then they go and ask all their friends and come back and say, no, you were completely wrong. They all said that. But sometimes people would say anything to stay friends with them. Anything. That's not going to help anyone in an entire lifetime. But the beauty of it is communication. Find people, if you need any answers to questions about yourself or life, that you trust. And they're not going to be rude about you. They're helping you. My two lads also never talk to anyone else about conversations they've had. Because they're private. And that's something, again, you don't need to write down and on a little bit of form. I promise not to talk about it to anyone. They never even thought about telling anyone about it. They move on again. Move on. They don't hold on to it. They move on. They were asked a question. That was it. It's fascinating and it's beautiful and it's lovely. And I'm so glad that when I see my boys and we have these little interactions, they're not often, but when we do, we can talk something and have a proper conversation. And I always feel better afterwards, always, because I've shared something with them again. And people have said to me when they've watched us together, the three of us, how sometimes they're sort of joking away and running me down or whatever they're doing, but it's a bit of sort of laughing and joking. I laugh at myself most of the time anyway. And we just get on. We get on with it. And it's not like mother and son, it's just friends. We've got a relationship enough that we can say things to each other that maybe mothers and children can't, but we've got to get on with that. You've got to break these barriers down. And everyone's got their own way of coming up. I mean, lots of things I did were to get away from the things that I'd had punished for. I didn't want to repeat any of those bloody awful punishments dealt out for this, that and the other. I didn't want to repeat that. Why should I? That's another burden, dragging that along behind me. Who wants a couple of suitcases full of concrete and you're dragging them along behind you because you think you must? If we can get away from a lot of that, it's good, and it makes you feel better. And it makes everything, the status quo, good. You know, and also, if you know someone is like that, when they're not, you can go and get them help. Because if you know someone enough, you might just go up and give them a hug and say, you know, you okay? And when they go, oh, yeah, and you think, I'm not letting this one go. This person here is too important. They've really done wonders in their lives and they have always been good to me. I'm not going to let this happen. This person does need help. And then people do come into your life and they help you. And that's what it's about. Helping other people. Loving other people. You don't have to, go, I love you much. I love you, I love you, I love you. No. That is instant within you. And you meet people and you never know quite why. And they astound you with what they do. And you're like, wow, I can't believe that. Or they're always fair. And they're always helpful. And there are thousands of people like that all the time. They do it as a daily thing. They're not asking anything in return. That's just them. Regardless of what they do for a living or age, they do it all the time. Because that's them. And I think everybody has this ability to show kindness and respect and love constantly. But most people are worried that other people will judge them. I don't know if it's judgment or be rude or disrespectful. But then they might not know how to handle people like that. But they will eventually, because it will shine out. So let's all shine out and try and help everyone lose that horrible identity that we don't know what we're doing. And women have too many things and they're always wrong, or they're going to be wrong from the very beginning. Who wants to listen to that person? She always gets it wrong. On whose account does she get it wrong? Why would you say that about someone? If she doesn't fit into your tribe, she doesn't fit into your tribe. Anyway, confidence is difficult. It's a difficult one to nail. But that's not particularly because you haven't got any. All creative people, artists, singers, writers, musicians, hairdressers, bus drivers, bus collectors, whoever is on show when they're doing something for the public, they've got blinding confidence, but they don't realise it. And the reason they have blinding confidence is because their role is interacting with people who often aren't very nice. But the job they're doing is right. You help someone get on the bus. You paint a magnificent painting, which is something from inside of you coming out. And half the world love it and the other half don't. Do you have to make a comment about it that's detrimental to someone? The learning there is, for us all, is if someone makes a detrimental comment, it's because they don't like themselves. So when someone says, oh, I don't like that, they're not talking to you, they don't like it. They don't like it in themselves. Maybe it's the colour they don't like. Maybe it's the patterning they don't like. It doesn't sit with themselves, not you. You've created something and you had so much confidence you wanted people to see it. Well, if you're going to sell it, you have to. So creative people are strong people. They learn to become more confident as they sell more, but they're confident enough to have it out there, confident enough to talk about it and show their work off so that other people can copy their work and make something themselves. People who are lacking in that type of confidence are the ones that never meet or have to produce something that other people can mention and comment about. And there are thousands of workers who never have to worry that their work will go on show or will never quite make the cuts or whatever. They never have to do that. They're the ones that think they can quite happily just talk about everybody else's stuff as if they've got thick skins. Well, no one's got thick skins. We're all the same. But when you have to create and then have people round and you're trying to teach them how to do something, the worst thing is somebody constantly criticising you. It runs people down. They get fatigued by it. So try not to do that, because it doesn't help you as a person. Not the people doing the work, it's the people saying it. If you're constantly telling someone or criticising someone, you're actually criticising yourself. And this year, anyone who criticises anyone constantly, whether that's through the internet or verbally, will stand out like a stamp on their foreheads that say, I'm critical. I criticise people. I'm not nice. My colour should be turquoise blue. But it's not turquoise blue. It's black. And people will see that. Why is that person a dark angel? Well, you're about to find out. I've worked with 2 dark angels before. So I know quite a bit about dark angel people. One I was very fortunate on. I'm not actually in that person's area, so I'm fine, but I've seen what the dark angel side of that person is. The other one I did work for, and once I started making a profit as a hairdresser in her spa, I lost my job. You'd think they'd be happy, wouldn't you, that you're making money because you're paying them a rent, but apparently not. So she got rid of me, but I met her on the interview and I happened to be asked to shut my eyes, not by spirit, and they showed me she was a dark angel. And I thought, I wonder why they're showing me that. 6 months later, I'd invested over £2,000. I lost it all. But I couldn't afford to lose £2,000. I needed to get that money back to live because I had 2 children, a mortgage and a house and everything. This girl lived with her parents and had nothing to lose. But no. I lost my job and I nearly lost my mind, unfortunately, because I had a nervous breakdown. But I did pull myself back thanks to my children and some damn bloody hard work. So when I meet dark angels now, I'm not so keen. But luckily, they'll be obvious. You'll meet people and know straight away they're dark angels. And how dark will depend if they carry weaponry. And I don't mean ones that you can see. But you'll find out what all that is. That's all coming online. It's all going to be the way forward because we need to go back to love. Everyone is on the status quo, understanding, not taking any notice of what people say, knowing themselves that they love themselves. And that will be the colour spectrum you're looking at. And it is going to be amazing. And when you meet healers, really good healers, they will have a colour spectrum around them. You'll be able to look at someone and identify a good healer, a good astrologist, a good anything you like by the colour they sit at. It's going to be pretty phenomenal. And no one can make those colours up because they come from here. You won't be taking a certificate, you'll be trying to get your colour lights into the right colour light for what you do. And if you can't do it, you won't be touching those light colours. It is going to be something that will be in the next 2 to 3 years. People will be ringing out these colours. I've seen people with gold light coming out of their necks. Absolutely amazing. I've even met people with gold halos. And I've looked at them and gone, wow. Wow. And they've had all sorts of jobs. They've had cleaning jobs that most people would think, oh, clean, 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 get on with it. This is in big companies, the cleaners in whopping great companies. Going right the way up to the top managing directors that actually own their own companies. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, it's the person inside that matters. You could have 50,000 bloody cars on your driveway, should you have something big enough for that. And you could be the multiest, whatever millionaire there is, or billionaire or zillionaire. But that doesn't make you gold light. You can't buy it. It's what's here, in here, and it's here that it sits in your neck. It's very fascinating, I have to say. And some people with the gold halos around them are 2,000, 50,000 years old in their light structure. And they're changing the world. They've changed the world in many, many aspects. Some you'd think, well, what did they do to change the world? They're a cleaner. But everyone that came into contact with them would have known there was something special about that person. And they would definitely have changed lives. So these colour spectrums that are coming in, they're all new. They're not colours that you might have seen before because they wouldn't have been out for that. They're changing in a big, big way. And it's going to be so bloody exciting. Everyone will think, oh, look at that person there. They thought they were so-and-so. Well, they can fuck right off because they're not. It's going to be one of those things. No lying anymore. You either can or you can't. Simple. And we do need that sort of honesty. Because the people that have trolled for years and years on the internet and have caused people to have nervous breakdowns and some people to actually commit suicide, they need to be figured and put up. So you walk down the road and you'll look around and go, oh my God, they trolled that person. And they ended up, and your physical DNA body will say that's what you did. So if you were a major contributor, whatever the word is, to someone's demise, that will show up. Naturally, you probably end up with quite a good tribe. But at least that means everyone will know who you are. So you can forget about your gold halo. You will have a halo. You probably need an armoury as well. But that's where you go. Exciting times for us all. I can't say I've got anything gold around me. But we're all walking into something. It's a journey of amazing stuff. And if you look online as well, and look up some people on YouTube, Pam Gregory for one, is phenomenal. Diana Cooper, the angel lady, another lady to follow, phenomenal. There are many people out there, and men, women, with amazing channels to watch and learn about what's coming. Identify with someone you like and go with it. Don't be sitting on the fence thinking, oh, it's rubbish, it's rubbish. Your body is not rubbish, and it was made from earth. And earth, science says, has already moved off its tilt. So don't diss things and get on with it, because you'll be left behind and you don't want to be left behind. I can assure you, Never, ever be left behind. That is not the place to be. None of this has got anything to do with money. It's got to do with inner work here. You don't need money for inner work here, but you do need to do the work. It's in your best interest for you to know who you are, get rid of all the crap, get rid of all the ancestral history. You won't need it because you're going to meet your ancestors soon. And they're not going to look at you very highly when they say, did you manage to clear X, Y, Z? And you go, no, I thought that was crap. Well, you need to heal it. That's what we come back for. Big stuff, big time, heal it.